I will call the special meeting of the Irmo Town Council to order, August 23rd meeting, and I will recognize Councilman Youngner to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for giving us this time that we can come together and make decisions for the town of Irmo. Pray that you just bless this meeting. In your name we ask. Amen.
Amen. And next item on the agenda is presentation by citizens for items on the agenda. Is there anyone who would like to address council on anything that's on the agenda tonight? Oh yes, if you give us your name and address for the record. And seeing none, next item is old business, approval of agreement between Palmetto Health and the town of Irmo for donation and naming rights at the community park. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
And is there a second?
Second.
And any discussion?
I guess I'll start it off.
Yeah.
What we have in front of us is the memorandum of understanding between Town of Irmo and Mental Health Hospital. As y'all can read, we kind of had this in our hands for a couple of days now. Basically, Palmetto Health will donate $120,000 to the Town of Irmo, and they will receive in return for that $120,000 the naming rights for the community park of Irmo Amphitheater for a period of 25 years. The town will also allow Palmetto Health to have signage on the stage and kiosks that conforms to this town's zoning ordinance, and it must be approved by the zoning administrator and the town administrator. The intended drawings are attached, and that's what you see in front of you was the drawings that they had submitted to us through electronic mail, and some of us couldn't read it, so I just had to print it off. And that's just what they're liking to have, the kind of signage that they would like to have, and kiosks that they'd like to have put up. Those things will be maintained at the expense of Palmetto Health. Palmetto Health will be allowed to use the community park subject to calendar availability, which is maintained by Town Hall, and which will include uses of the park at no charge for community wellness programs, which I'm very, very excited about. Community wellness programs, as I understand it, is like a Zumba class, or a fat boy trot around the walking trail, which I certainly would be the first person to sign up for, try to help myself get in good health, and it'd be no charge to them, and hopefully no charge to the community, or very little expense if they can afford to do that. But Palmetto Health is willing to do those kind of things. And they also would like the Palmetto Health Amphitheater to be included in all correspondence that references the amphitheater and the community park, and as well as on the actual stage itself. So those are the agreements that they would like that we would like to present to them. I think if we agree to that on council tonight, if I get this paperwork back to them, they would certainly ratify it also, and we'll get a check, start the process rolling as soon as possible.
Any other comments from anyone? Who seconded? Harvey? If you want to go next.
Yeah. Well, I agree with the memorandum of understanding as well. One thing that I may have skipped over, I just may not have heard, that their use of the park is subject to the calendar by the town, and we try to keep a 30 to 90 day notice in there, just so that we can keep everything scheduled so that they don't get bumped as well as anyone else.
Right.
If they have something planned. that we do try to keep that going. And we've had pretty good success with that with the town park across the street here. We have a lot of weddings there. And
It's amazing
it's just
how much it's used.
It floors me as how much it was used. But I agree wholeheartedly.
Anyone else?
Well, the 25 years, I'm fine with that as well. That's part of this MOU. $120,000 is just that's a very generous gift, and these things will not help for that.
Yep.
I think 25 years will be fine.
One thing, 25 years is fine, but you know, it may not be worth the paper it's written on. You know, there might be 2 or 3 councils later that might say 15 years is enough for that. I have no idea. I just want you to be aware of that. I'd be willing to sign it and all that, but of course I may be well dead and gone by then, so.
Well, maybe we need to put something additional in this agreement.
I don't know what, because I don't
Well-
think we can sign beyond, you know, we can.
It's questionable, and Kathy brought that up before, and I do remember a case, and I did check into it, and I was just sitting here trying to read enough of it to know for sure what exactly it means. But there is what's called the Cunningham case. It's Anderson County, 2008, something in that range. But they had an election, and some new people got elected in between the election and the swearing in. They gave the assistant administrator like a 3-year contract, 5-year contract with $1 million severance. And if he got fired within that time. And as soon as the new people got elected, they went back and told him that contract's no good. We're not going to honor it. And they went through negotiation, and he said, no, I'm accepted. I'm not changing. I'm not doing it, Will. So they fired him. He went to court, and he lost in the circuit court. He appealed it to the appellate court, and he lost in the appellate court. And basically what the thing says, and it's still, I don't say it, they asked it to go to the Supreme Court, but the Supreme Court hadn't heard it, which some people are saying that's because they're not going to overturn it. But basically what it says is that a council cannot contract out beyond its term for anything what's called governmental. If it's business proprietary, like a police department, fire department, garbage services, stuff like that, which are business services, they can do that. If it's something that takes away another council's power, such as we have to reappoint, you know, the clerk and the judge and all that kind of stuff, and then Bob's job is that will, so to speak, can be fired at any time. We can't infer upon their power down the road to take away by extending a contract or doing anything else, which opens the door to what is governmental and what is proprietary. And basically what they're saying in there, I was hoping Jake would be here and I tried to email it to him, is that, I just kind of wrote down a thing, that if the successive boards' rights to act on something are deprived or impaired, then it's void. They can't do it beyond the term. Because it has so much implications or ramifications for counties and cities and everything else, they were hoping the Supreme Court will look at it. But from what some people are saying, it's been there since 2000 and something, 11, that they haven't looked at and hadn't even, whatever you do to ask for stuff, they haven't even inquired. So they're saying they may not, and they're going to leave the appellate courts thing open, which basically means that all municipalities can't hire a contract for, say, people like that beyond that time. So I don't know where
Well, that's
this...
spending money, right?
This-
That's a contract for Bob for, say, for his salary. It's a contract for Chief Buck to spend revenue. That's a contract for whatever to spend town revenue. This is receiving money.
Yeah, but it's taking away rights from a future council.
The rights of a future council to receive
No, to name the park or not name the park. They may decide they don't want to name it, or they may decide they want somebody else to name
But
it, or they may...
there's no financial
It doesn't have to be. It just
expenses
says
being
if
set
their right
forward.
is taken away or their powers are impaired to act, then it can't be held up. That would be the only thing between y'all's attorney and our attorney, and somebody will have to figure out what is, because there's a big question there now as to what can they sign off on. They have determined that, like a garbage contract or a police contract or
Yeah,
fire...
it's expenses.
Well, no, it's not expenses, because it's a business.
Expenditures, none of those expending money.
You know, the money has nothing to do with it, it's the
Sure it does.
obligation.
It's
It's contract,
expenses.
it's contract law, I think.
Yeah, it's just, you're breaking something, because that's not a business proprietary service of the town, which this isn't a service of the town, this is an obligation of council to either name it or not name it. And I could see down the road where a future council, 2 years down the road, 10 years down the road, whatever, could say, well, we don't want their name on it, we want this, or we want that, or we don't want anybody's name. And they could void it.
It should be
And-
left up to your lawyer and our lawyer.
Yeah, but let me just say this, because it's costing us an additional $50,000 for the sign. I mean, so in addition to the $120,000 that we're giving to the town of Irmo, I mean, it's costing us another $50,000 to pay for the signage. So it would be a shame that in 2 years we've spent this amount of money, and you're saying that the new council can come and just void.
But I don't know. I'm
No,
just saying
that's not what we're
there's
saying.
a cloud, but yeah, that's
not
what...
That is not what we're saying. We're saying, that's what he's saying, but I'm
Yeah.
saying that I believe he's been misjudged, because there's every case he's given you an example of, the council has spent money, revenue is being spent from the town coffers to pay for services or pay for governmental services. We're
Well-
actually receiving something here. It's not like we're spending money.
We could
we're
take their
getting
money, yeah, we could take their money, but council down the road could take the sign off too, and there's no, there'd be no fallback. If, and I don't know that I'm
Well, that's
right,
what
that's
this
why I
is
say
saying.
Jake and them need to look, but the same thing for Tim. We can't appoint him to this job for more than 2 years because
Well,
it goes
let me ask
beyond
you a
that.
question.
And that's
Is
not
it your
money.
objective, is your desire not to receive the $120,000?
Well, as far as these things here, I think the 120 is good.
So your objective is to take the money?
I think the 25 years is way out of line, because 25 years at 120,000 is $4,800 a year.
Well, I'm
I
not
think a
sure
lot
what
of
it is
people,
yearly person, but I said
well,
20.
it's 4,800, and to me, a lot of places would pay that.
Well, but a lot of
Like
places
the medical.
haven't taken it, so.
Well, we haven't
yeah.
offered it. We haven't
Yes, we
offered
have
it.
offered it. We've offered it to a lot of people.
Not
This-
4,800. But
You know.
anyway, I'm just saying, yeah, I wouldn't vote for the 25 years. I'd vote for 10, even though I don't know that it's legal either. But I think 10 is
Well,
reasonable.
we've already decided it's
If
25.
your lawyer and our lawyer agree, I wouldn't worry.
Yeah.
You know, this is happening over and over and over again, all over. And this one case, if you want to talk about one case,
Well, no, the-
I can open up a book of one cases. But
Well, the
the-
case at Cunningham is based on a whole bunch of presidents from 1978, and a lot of municipalities and states is where they settled that from. So that would be something just for y'all to be aware that we do need to go into it, knowing that it may have some, but as far as the other stuff on here, the same thing on number 3, the signage, it says that they can do the signage and the kiosk. From what Bob has said, we got a 10-foot square footage maximum. I think we have a problem with that we need to agree is either 10 foot or what we're going to do, because what's on this thing here may or may not be, or probably is because it's 15 foot long, over the 10 square foot. So, I mean, there's a lot of things here that we're agreeing to and saying that the signage, but in actuality, signage is a 10 square foot plus the kiosk. And I think the kiosk would be fine. But I think the 10 square foot needs to be into consideration, that they need to understand that it may not be whatever this thing here.
It says within the sign ordinances, they
Yeah, it
understand.
does. It does.
They
So
understand.
10 square foot. So
Whatever
y'all are
the
happy
sign
with that?
ordinance-
We have gone back and revised the initial signage that we did to be in compliance with the town of Irmo's ordinance. And that's what you should have received, that's dated August the 22nd.
That one too. Well, now, if I'm looking at this, it's 15, whatever it is, long by 1 foot, then that's going to be at least 15 something square foot.
It's 19.
Oh, okay, 1944.
But if they agree to this too, I think they would change
They'd
it.
have to change it to 10, okay.
And I will say this to council. We've been working hard with Councilman Walker on trying to make sure that everything within this memorandum of understanding was in compliance with the town of Irmo. I will tell you this, that we have been approached by someone else in Irmo to fund their amphitheater.
By someone else in Irma?
If Saluda Shoals falls in.
Yeah, Shaluta Shores is
Irmo.
building one too.
That's outside.
So, I mean, we've gone back to the drawing board. We've been in contact with the zoning folks. The ball's down in your court. So this is what we've come up with. The 25 years is what our team has agreed on. And let me just say, $120,000 is not a little bit of money for us to give to any one group, especially thinking about starting next year when Palmetto Health is slated to lose $229 million starting in January because we did not expend Medicare. And so, you know, this is not a small amount of money for us. We're building a full-service hospital here. And so there's a lot of things that are being considered.
And I don't
But
look
this
at
is the agreement that we have come up with among our attorneys and our marketing folks.
And I don't look at this as a menial amount either. I think it's a very generous amount and I'm very appreciative of Palmetto Health for considering the town of Irmo. I feel comfortable with this. There are cases out there that are tried over and over again, but to say that any municipality or any governmental agency would just on face value of some singular or a couple cases start turning down sponsorships is ludicrous. It's something that's done every day and very appreciative of it. And we appreciate the efforts that Palmetto Health has bent over backwards to work with us. But we pride ourselves as well in saying that we won't do anything that we don't require the public to do. Lord, we wouldn't start work until we had all of the permits. We don't let other people start without permits. We wouldn't start. And for that reason, you know, it's important that everybody be treated fairly.
And I agree, that's the reason why we've been working with the zoning folks to make sure that we're in compliance with.
Absolutely.
And I will say, Mayor, that if we need to add a clause in there, if we give the whole $120,000 up front, that if this contract is null and void within the 25 years, then maybe that money that we've given that's left to divide out for those years be reimbursed.
Well, and I'll say this, you could do that, but according to what was settled in that thing there, they made some kind of arrangement that if this happened, this would happen, and the judge came back and said the contract's void, so that's void. Paying back anything would be void because the contract would be void.
So a legal binding contract is null and void now.
If it's made, yeah, if it's not valid when it's made, then it is. It's always.
So then maybe we need
I can assure you, Miss Regina, that Miss Brown, that any contracts or any MOUs that we sign from this end of this podium will not be arbitrarily null and void in the future. I don't care about any future council or anything. I can speak clearly from, as Mayor Pro Tem of Irmo, South Carolina today, on August 23rd, 2013, we will honor any contracts in the future that this council makes with our public. We will not arbitrarily decide that, oh, we don't like you no more, so we're going to avoid the contract. And the paper is not worth the paper it's printed on, you know. But again, to echo what Councilman Hoots has said, we are very, very appreciative that you took the time and that your company, Palmetto Health, has taken the time to even offer us $120,000 for development of our new town community park. You know, I haven't seen any other body up here produce as much money as y'all have produced on as far as giving it to us in a lump sum or over a period of time, and we don't look at that lightly. I don't look at that lightly. That's a significant milestone in the development of this particular project, and I can say that I am personally proud of where we are with this MOU, and I call for the question.
I have not finished.
I call for the question.
I have not finished my discussion and my comments on here yet. I was interrupted when I was speaking a while ago.
Question's been called.
No, I have not finished, and you cannot call the question until everyone's been given a chance to speak.
Question's been called. Everybody's spoken.
So, I'm going to go back to where I was, what ago, on
So
this
you're not
thing
going to
here.
follow Robert's Rule of Orders now, right?
You're not following Robert's Rules of
The
Order.
question has been called.
You
I called for the
cannot
question. I
call
was
the
recognized.
question
I just
until
did.
all council members have spoken. And you
Who
cannot.
hasn't spoken?
I'm speaking. I was
Everybody-
speaking when y'all started speaking.
No,
I haven't,
you didn't, sir.
I haven't got through.
I beg your pardon, sir.
Well, I wasn't through when y'all started speaking, and I'm going to go ahead and finish up where I was.
Well, the question's been called, sir.
Well, I haven't
Should be no more
recognized you. You
discussion at this
cannot
point.
interrupt the speaker while they're speaking.
Sir,
So-
the question has been called, and you are not following Robert's Rule of Orders. Now, if you decide
Miss-
that you would not follow Robert's Rule of Order, then
Miss
we're not
Brown,
going to have a meeting.
Let me
Is that
just
what you want to do?
clarify something that was said up here a while ago. He's correct.
Nothing to be
in
clarified,
that
sir, is
this
the question has
council
been called.
could honor a contract, but another
Okay, so-
council may not be able to, and that's just the point I'm trying to make.
So the point you're trying to make is that you're not going to follow our Robert's Rule of Orders that we agreed that we
On
would
item 3, one of the questions I had up here was on the kiosk. Is
Okay,
this,
so that means that the hell with this.
no, it means you're out of order.
No, it
I am
means you're out of
speaking.
order.
I had the floor.
The question
You
has
interrupted
been
me. You
called.
didn't.
The
I'm
question
gonna
has been called, and
continue
you're
this
not
any
responding to
longer.
the question.
I'm going to speak and go back through what I'm speaking
The
about.
question has been called. So,
On this
I mean, as far as
kiosk
I'm
here,
concerned, you're out
read
of
the rules of order.
I'm
You
reading it
cannot-
right here.
No, you can't.
The
Read it where
Robert's
it
Rule of
says you
Order
can
right
interrupt the speaker. Read it where it says that, and while you're doing that, I'm going to finish talking.
I don't have to read it. You want me to read it to you
need
loud?
read it.
Here, it says
Now-
right here, once the question has been called,
The kiosk.
there is no more discussion
Paying for
involved
this
in that
kiosk
matter.
and who's
So,
providing.
what's the
is
problem?
this here for sites, so they're paying for it.
She hasn't said, but that should be part of the $40,000. I mean, because
So that's part of it.
last meeting it was $30,000, now the sign's gotten half this big, and
And
now
they'll
it's
have to
$40,000,
sign-
so I think they were paying for that.
Like this thing here on top of
Is
that.
that correct?
I'm sorry.
they couldn't hear you.
I didn't hear, I apologize.
I'm sorry.
Because the question has been called, that's why she couldn't hear you.
I just want to clarify, last meeting the signs were $30,000, this meeting they're $40,000 and they're smaller. Would I assume that you guys are going to build the kiosk too? Is that part of the $40,000? The kiosk with the little palm trees and the lights behind them?
I would have to double check that because
Okay.
I'm not, my sign man is not here tonight, so I would have to check that.
That's fine, I
But that
talked to
was
him a
an
couple times on the
expense
phone.
that was being taken care of by Palmetto Health. It was not an expense that was being taken care of by the town of Irmo.
Okay. Well, that was the mayor's
Um,
question. I mean, if they were going to pay for all of this, I mean, that's,
I think it says
Important.
that right
It
here.
says it right there in the paper.
So it says the maintenance, but it didn't say the cost. I just wanted to clarify that.
And Regina,
says
the
expense.
only reason I brought up that was you need to know,
okay.
you know,
One other thing I wanted to clarify too, is there anything
a different council could change.
that lets them know
10 or
that when we
20
have
years or
the
whatever.
orchestra, that the sponsors, whoever they may be at the orchestra, whether it's Lexington Medical or Budweiser or whom, then their signs, banner or whatever it is going somewhere on this stage here. I think that needs to be in there too, just so that's not a surprise down the road that, that will be happening. I didn't see anything in
We're
here.
not talking
and I
about
just-
signage here, we're talking about MOU.
Yeah, but I think it
Signage
needs
is
to
a
be,
different
in my mind, I
subject.
just want to make sure there's no
But
misunderstanding down
again,
the
the
road.
question's been called, so we're
I'm
not gonna
speaking,
explain.
please, Barry, I didn't interrupt you a while ago when you were
I didn't
speaking.
interrupt you either, I called for the question, you're not
but you-
following Robert's Rule of Orders.
You were interrupting me when I was
I
trying
called
to
for
finish
the
up.
question, I was recognized.
She woke up to the thing so she could answer some questions, but I still had the floor so I could finish my question. Let's see here. So, as far as an understanding that, is there anything that we need to put in here that covers it? So that we have something in here that says that they understand that whenever somebody uses that stage for whatever it may be, the orchestra included, but mainly, then there's not going to be a conflict with them putting their banner up or whatever it is. Do they have a banner? The
That's what they normally put up now.
and they put it up right across this top here, I'm guessing.
I don't know how big it is, because this stage is twice as big as anything we've ever put up.
Do you know how big that banner is?
Banners vary. Some of them are just vertical banners. Some
They
of
don't have the
them-
same one they just keep using, or?
No.
Oh, okay. So they'll just have to redesign a new one for this stage here, I guess.
Well, many of the other companies like Budweiser, they'll provide their own.
Okay.
The orchestra has made one for Dr. Fringe, when she had sponsored the little dance groups up there. But
So they'll be taking them down and putting them up depending on whatever they do.
by the hour.
Okay. Well, and that's just something I think needs to be in there so that it's recognized up front
I
by
mean,
all the parties.
you understand 2 days a year, the orchestra, that's what the mayor's asking, that we may put all kinds of signs and banners over that stage, and everything be covered up from Palmetto Health for that 2 days.
We're not gonna cover up this stage.
Well, they may or may not.
I'm just saying,
We're
but
not
there
gonna
be
cover
banners
up.
and
We're
signs.
not
Can
gonna
I
do
ask a
that.
question? Because this is a permanent sign that's going up. So are you saying that if somebody has something in this room right now, they can cover up the town of Irmo sign because it's up there? I mean,
Yeah,
I mean, because you all can have banners hung that wouldn't have to cover the name.
Banners can go on the bottom of
I'm
the
just-
sign.
It can hang
right
from the
stage.
bottom of the sign.
Yeah,
Yeah,
bottom of the
I don't
stage. I mean, you don't have to
question.
cover up the banner or signage.
I just want to make sure that there's no
They
conflict down
have
the road when that
events all
happens.
day long. And Dr. French does the dance thing.
at the small
Yeah.
stage.
Budweiser does something else. So I think we could hang them under your sign and
We would appreciate with the amount of money that we're paying, not just the town of Irmo, but paying to have that sign constructed and put up. It would be, in my opinion, common courtesy that when there's events there, that sign would not be covered. That's just
Of course.
common courtesy.
Yeah, but that don't always happen. I just want to make sure y'all know, because they're also paying, I don't know what it is, $15,000 a year, and they may think it's more common courtesy for theirs to go top billing or whatever you call it.
But Mayor, if that information is communicated to the sponsors, that if they're having events there, that they cannot cover that sign because technically they're covering the name of the actual theater, then that could be spelled out before there's an agreement, sir.
Yeah, it needs to be in there. So that we don't, argue about it down the road, and then when we sign the contract.
It's
we
not,
make-
No.
it's not an issue, because I don't think this sign doesn't conform, this big one doesn't conform to our ordinance anyways. I mean, we'll have to
Oh,
talk
that's
to
right.
them
So
about
this-
these and
Okay.
and the kiosk, but I'll get with the sign person.
So you hear that this may not be agreeable, whatever's on this thing here.
Well, like I said, our staff, our folks, even our attorney have gotten together with this agreement. This is what we've come up with. You all sent us an agreement saying that we could not do the signage the way we wanted to. We went back and we revised the signage according to the ordinance of the town of Irmo. Now I'm hearing that there's still an issue.
This is what I sent your sign person, and he still didn't read it and do it right.
He still didn't do it right?
No.
Okay.
And I talked to him on the phone too, and he knows it was 10 square feet.
Okay.
Mrs. Stanley talked to him on the phone. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. So you're saying that our signage is still not in compliance with the town of Irmo.
That's correct.
Okay.
Willing to work with them, though. I mean, we need to sit down and have a little talk after this.
And the kiosk is not included in that,
No.
so that's separate altogether from what I understand.
There's no requirements for the
Yeah,
kiosk at all.
none of that.
And the kiosk.
The kiosk doesn't even come into play.
Dramatic.
There is no ordinance on that.
And the only other question I had was, and I'm sure, and I don't know, but I'm sure that this is a, what do you call it, a agreement, but there'll be a contract drawn up, either our attorney or their attorney, that'll have more bells and whistles and all that good mess. But as far as at the end of, as of right now, 25 years, does this thing just automatically expire and then we rebid out, or if it, and again, I'm gonna just say that if it surpasses 3 councils from now or 10 or whoever, somebody might challenge it. But if it doesn't and it goes 25 years, then it just dies and starts over? Is that?
I don't know.
That's a Jake question.
May I speak again?
Yeah.
When we originally put together the agreement, it was Palmetto Health Amphitheater for an unlimited amount of time. We went back to the drawing board because he said that we could not have an unlimited amount of time. So the $120,000, we kind of looked at that for fair value for the 25 years. If this is not what the town of Irmo wants, then just tell us.
Well, right now it is, I think, by majority of council, 25, I think.
So what's the problem then?
Well, I wasn't asking about the 25, I was asking at the end of the 25, does it just die at that time? But no automatic rights, no automatic, whatever you call them, they just die.
Well, unless the Lord graces me with favor, I won't be here. I'm not going to worry about it.
Well, I ain't either, but I just want to make sure that, people don't blame us for not a good contract on behalf of the town. Myself, I think 10 years is gracious.
We're past that. We're past the 10 years.
$20,000, Mayor.
Well,
And maybe
I don't think we can bind a thing, and I don't think us signing the contract beyond there is
Well,
good.
that's you don't think it, but the majority of council thinks so.
And
Let's
the affiliate
vote.
court in South Carolina agrees so too.
I don't think so. I
and
don't know
everyone
what court
comes
you're
to that.
talking about. I don't see any
But,
Supreme Court ruling on this.
I'm not going to make an
You got a
amendment for
Supreme
10
Court
because I know it won't pass.
Well, what's the problem then? Stop talking. Let's vote on it. What's the problem?
We can vote on it.
We can? So I call for the question. Now you
No,
recognize that?
I'm answering your question. You know,
Quit asking questions.
yeah, I mean, you need to go and take a class is what you need to do.
I need to take a class?
Yes, you do. You really
What
do.
class do I need to take?
You could
I
take,
got a Bachelor of
like
Science in
the
Mathematics. What you got?
Municipal.
I got a BS in math. What you
Elected
got?
officials in the first place and maybe learn something about,
I got a BS
Whatever,
in mathematics. What degree do you have?
it doesn't matter. We don't need
It
one.
doesn't matter, right?
No, it
Okay.
doesn't.
Okay,
Let's have
son.
somewhere on the record how much we appreciate.
Yes, I think the 120,000 is
I think
good.
I covered that.
Yeah, I think that's
How
been
much we
covered.
appreciate Regina putting up with
I
us.
just think $4,800 a year for that is not as good as $10,000 a year for 10 years.
That's why you don't have a
$12,000 a
degree.
year
That's why
for
you don't have a
10 years.
degree yet, because you don't think it's worth 4,800 bucks.
Well, I think it's worth
You
more
can
than
write a check.
4,800.
You write a check for
I
more
think
than
it's
that.
worth more.
Huh?
But anyway, any more questions, any more debate, any more discussion?
I'll second the call of the question.
Thank you, sir.
Well,
No vote.
it was out of order in the first place. I never recognized it, so we're time to vote.
Okay.
If there's no more questions, no more debate, no more whatever. None?
None.
All in favor of the agreement as written, because there were no amendments made, right?
Right.
None. As written, do so with show of hands. All opposed? And
It's unanimous.
presentation by citizens, is this the point, or we're at the point now where anyone who wants to address council on anything, whether it's on the agenda or not, may do so at this time. Anyone who would like to speak to the council? Seeing none, executive session,
Not that I
none needed.
know of. No.
Is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Is that Kathy or
Fine, yeah.
all in favor?
Yep.
6:34, we started it.
Doop, doop.